Alrighty, folks. So we're starting our new series with risk management on emotional resilience and strategic risk management. In week one, we're going to be jumping into managing emotional reactions to market volatility. Again, I think you guys are getting the idea of how important our emotional intelligence and discipline is when it comes to trading. Oftentimes, I think when we start our journey in trading, we overestimate the technical aspect of things. Yes, it's very important and necessary, but not sufficient to become successful. Necessary, not sufficient. So what will make us efficient in the market? It is discipline and, essentially mastery over our emotional responses to the market. So it's going to be a quick lesson. This is just an intro, so I won't take up too much of your time. My goal with these lessons is just provide you guys with tools and protocols on a practical level that you can integrate to better your trading career and your life as a whole. So managing emotional responses to market volatility. We have two parts today. Part one is really quick, understanding emotional reactions in volatile markets. And part two is practical strategies for managing emotions. So part two, we'll just jump into some actual tools and protocols. So let's jump into it. Understanding emotional reactions in volatile markets. So we have the impact of fear and greed on trading decisions. So as a precursor quickly to before we jump into my notes, fear and greed are not something you can run away from. They are natural, they're common, they occur often in all traders. So you're not alone in these feelings, and a lot of times they can sneak up on you. They'll be subconscious, and you'll start to react off of these emotions. And it's really dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be when you don't bring these emotions to a conscious level and deal with them in the best way that you know how. So again, just an intro. Emotional responses like fear and greed are common during market volatility and can lead to impulsive or overly cautious trading decisions. Yes, we know this. So fear may cause premature exits, while greed can result in holding on to losing positions for too long, both of which hinder long-term success. Yes, we know this stuff. It's basic, it's fundamental, but it's important to remind ourselves often of this stuff. But what I want us to focus on here today is long-term success, and let's jump into that. So recognize these emotions as natural reactions, but aim to approach trading decisions with a clear, objective mindset. And with this stuff in mind, we're going to get into it on the practical strategies for managing our emotions. But when I talk about long-term success, it's really important that we shift our perspective from when you're in a trade that this is it. If I win, I'm ecstatic. And if I lose, then I'm really upset. And, whatever it might be. And oftentimes that's not going to be conscious. You're not going to be having these thoughts. It's just going to be something that comes over you. What I encourage you guys to do is just shift your perspective. And it doesn't have to be much from, the day-to-day trades being something that has a massive effect to these wins and losses are part of my long-term strategy to become consistent and profitable in the market. And if you're able to make that perceptual shift, a lot of these wins and losses will have a much lesser emotional response. So highly encourage just really thinking and knowing that when you take losses, it's just part of the game. When you take wins, it's just part of the game. As long as you're doing things to align with your long-term goals, that's what's important. So again, just encouraging you guys to shift that perspective from, instead of thinking like, oh man, I can't believe I blew another account. I can't believe I did this. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Shift that perspective from, this is just part of the game, and I'm paying tuition right now, and this is all the things that I'm doing right here are essentially building blocks until I can become a successful trader. So again, for us who really do struggle with our emotions, just make that mental shift and it will help you a lot. So today I pulled from Dr. Alexander Elder. I'm sure a couple of you guys have read his book, Trading for a Living. It's one of the most popular psychology books for trading, and there's some technical stuff in there too. But he says this is, kind of his take to losses. So the answer is to draw a line between a businessman's risk and a loss. As traders, we always take businessman's risks, but we may never take a loss greater than the predetermined risk. And so essentially my take from this is you cannot make decisions off of anything that is not predetermined. So what I mean by that is if you take a loss, you know exactly how much you're going to lose, and you're not going to take another trade if you have not predetermined this risk yet. And essentially that's, going on tilt, making revenge trades, whatever it might be for you that you struggle with. You have to break those habits, and you have to break them as soon as possible to start building these good habits. And so again, just that last sentence there. As traders, we always take businessman's risks, but we may never take a loss greater than the predetermined risk. That is how you become successful. Never taking losses greater than the predetermined risk. And I know that sounds elementary, but I hope you guys are getting the point. Like, this stuff's really important. So that's part one. I told you guys it's going to be quick. Part two is just some practical strategies for us for managing emotions. So we have stop losses and limit orders, detachment techniques, and grounding exercises. Pretty quick. So the use of stop losses and limit orders. So setting stop losses and limit orders allows you to cap potential losses and secure profit automatically, minimizing emotional decision-making during market fluctuations. And again, we hear stop losses all the time. It kind of goes in one ear out the other. We set them in every single trade, or you should be. If you are struggling with emotions, I really urge you to not only, of course, have your predetermined risks before you jump into the trade, so you know what your actual or your assumed risk to reward ratio is as far as your take profit and your stop loss levels, but setting these limit orders at your take profit levels and your risk management will start to dissipate or lessen the impact that the emotions have on you when you're in the trade and things are really going well and you're kind of just holding on, even though it passed your take profit level, and you have that take profit level for a reason, because we may see drawdown from that area or some drawback, maybe liquidity flip, and whatever it might be, folks. As long as you are letting these emotions control how you take trades, you're not assuming that businessman's risk. You're assuming just, essentially the mindset of a gambler at a casino who doesn't know how to get off the slots. This stuff's important to recognize. So I just encourage you guys, if you do struggle, like most of us, with strong emotions when it comes to trading, set those limit orders, set those stop losses to help lighten the burden of these primal emotions that we feel. Pretty straightforward though. So detachment techniques. Developing emotional detachment helps reduce stress by encouraging a more analytical approach to trading. When I talk about detachment, I hope you guys are, discerning enough to cipher through when you should be emotionally detached and when not to be. Life would be pretty boring, not very epic if we were emotionally detached and everything. But when it comes to trading, you have to work on emotional detachment. You cannot make decisions based off of what you feel. We are technical analysis traders. That is what we do. That is what we teach. We walk the walk. And so if you are struggling with trying to make a payout, whatever it is, ask yourself, what tools are you lacking? What principles do you lack that you see in other successful people? And oftentimes it's going to be, actions based off of emotions rather than analytical approach to the market. And it's also going to be a lack of discipline to follow your plan through. So start working on that stuff. Ask yourself the questions, like I just said. So this stuff cannot be overlooked. It cannot be overlooked. Again, I often go over these fundamentals and they may seem, boring, but they are so important for mastery and for getting consistent in the market. I cannot emphasize it enough. That's why I bring it up so often. So developing emotional detachment helps reduce stress by encouraging a more analytical approach to trading. We just went over this. So practical tip: treat each trade as part of a long-term plan rather than focusing on individual gains or losses to maintain a steady emotional state. Again, just like we referred to in part one, shifting that perspective from, this one trade is make or break, even if it's only, risking 2% of your account size. It is really important to understand whatever those losses or those losses or wins, regardless, they are part of your journey and they will be beneficial if you can look at them in that light. If you're not looking at those lessons in a light to grow, they're just going to be detrimental. You're going to burden yourself with unnecessary emotions, and it's just going to be harder and harder, and you're building worse and worse habits, and it's just this downward spiral. So shift that perspective. Treat each trade as part of a long-term plan rather than focusing on individual gains or losses. And our last point here is grounding exercises. I often talk about, especially in my psychology and wellness classes, grounding exercises, but it's so important because it helps with your risk management. That's why I'm talking about it here. So grounding exercises such as deep breathing or mindfulness reduce immediate stress and refocus attention. And when I say they reduce immediate stress, yes, this is scientifically proven. It will lower the cortisol and adrenaline in your bloodstream in real time. So when we're able to do that, not only are we lifting the burden of these heavy emotions, or at least lightening the load, we're also going to be more focused, more attentive, and able to make these analytical decisions with reduced brain fog as well. So this stuff's important. This stuff's really important. So I highly encourage you guys to take a brief pause to practice deep breathing or do a quick mindfulness exercise before taking any trade. And again, I was sharing this the other day, I believe on Tuesday. If you guys are not yet consistently profitable in the market, what do you have to lose to practice this stuff? If you truly do want to be successful and you are not yet there, you have nothing to lose trying these exercises. And they're highly encouraged by me and other successful traders. I just can't emphasize it enough. Too many people, we talk about we hand all the information on a golden platter, and we also sell the implementation. Like, hey, this is a risk management strategy that you have to follow. You should be journaling every single day. Your trades, why you took them. Jojo often talks about how you should be able to defend your trade in a court of law. Why did you take this trade? Can you back it up? If you're writing all this stuff down, if you're practicing grounding exercises, if you're getting outside, you're exercising, you're focusing on your diet, your mind is clear. You're able to make analytical decisions based off this stuff. You're doing hard things to where when you sit down at your desk, this is not the hardest thing you've done today. All these emotions that you feel, they start to lighten. They really do. And it really does help with your trade. So again, I just ask yourself the question, what do I have to lose by trying this stuff, by journaling, by doing grounding exercises? All these things will help you. And, if you're not doing them, ask yourself, how bad do you want it? If you're not consistent, do you really want this? If you're not even trying any of this stuff? Questions to be asked. So I leave you guys with this. Managing emotions during market volatility is key to successful trading. Strategies like stop losses and limit orders, detachment, and grounding exercises help you stay disciplined and objective. Supporting your long-term trading goals. Again, make those long-term trading goals. Make that mental shift. Understand that these losses and wins are just part of your long-term plan, and you're not going to have these emotional responses to them. You may feel them, but you're not going to react to them. They're not going to affect you the way they used to, but you have to make the change. You have to start implementing this stuff. You have to make that perspectual shift. This stuff's important. It's necessary, but unfortunately, a lot of you who are watching this video on YouTube or in this class right now, unfortunately won't make the changes. You won't do what you need to do. And it's just part of the game. I mean, I see it often. I've been teaching this stuff for, probably 2 years now. And I see it all the time. It's like, hey, here's this golden strategy. go run with it. Let's see what you can do. But it's the mental discipline, the lack of mental discipline, I should say, the lack of actually doing the hard things to make you successful, that people just kind of throw it away. I mean, again, I always say, I could give you a literally 100% win rate trade with a perfect risk management plan, and 90% of people would still fail. 90% of people would still fail because they don't have the discipline to follow that through. So again, essentially what I'm saying is just ask yourself those questions. How bad do you want it? And if you do want it bad, what are you not implementing that would help your trading career? I would argue you're probably not doing grounding exercises before each trade. I would also recommend a challenge to yourself, like in the morning. If you want to become more disciplined, how are you going to become more disciplined if you're lacking discipline in every other aspect of your life? And all of a sudden you're going to sit down in front of your trades when all these emotions are way higher, and you're going to become disciplined now. It's not going to happen. So potentially for you, challenge yourself to take a cold shower every single morning. And if you don't take that cold shower, you do not trade today, no matter how beautiful the setup is, because you're not going to be, if you don't take a cold shower when you're under those warm sheets, and you have to make that mental decision in your head to get out of bed, get uncomfortable, and go jump in this cold water. That stuff hurts, and that stuff gets your adrenaline going. It's a massive change, and that is hard to do, to make that mental decision and to kind of separate these emotions you have from your body, to rule your body with your mind. And you can tell I'm a little passionate about this stuff, but we just too often let our bodies and whatever emotions, feeling, just kind of run our lives. And, like, I don't really feel like getting out of bed. I'm going to sleep in a little bit longer. I want to, get in the gym, but, it's 15-minute drive. My gym clothes I didn't wash, whatever. I want to follow my diet, but, the cake looks really good right now. All these things, you're letting your body essentially run your life instead of making these goals and making your mind dictate what your body does. And so implementing challenges to yourself, like taking a cold shower before any trading day, is something that I can promise you would help with your discipline. That's all I got for you guys today, folks. I went a little off track on a little tangent there, but I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying. I preach it often and so frequently, and people just, they won't do the things that they need to do. So this is my encouragement to you guys, to do the hard thing, to ask yourself the hard questions, to do the hard things, just because if you don't, do you really think you're going to become successful in this? I don't know. It's a personal question, but I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I am here no matter what. If you guys need help in any aspect of your life, just reach out to me, and I will provide you with the best knowledge that I have to become successful. But it's up to you. So get after it, folks. Tell your loved ones that you love them. And I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and happy trading, folks.